So this is one of our monthly calls for the specification and education work groups. This particular call is timed for Europe and Asia. We had a previous call this month for North America and Europe. This call, as with all of our calls, is under the Linux Foundation antitrust policy. You can see the full policy on our website. And if you have any questions, you can ask them of our counsel, Andy Updegrove, if you're from an LF member company. If you're not from an LF member company and you have questions, it's recommended that they are directed to your own counsel. Now, this meeting mirrors what we did on the previous meeting between North America and Europe. This meeting will focus on two areas: specification workgroup activities and education workgroup activities. After that, we'll have a space for other items that might be covered previously brought up, or any other business, which would be items you want to bring up today, and then we close the meeting. Now, we're not only going to recap what was done last time, but we will have substantial overlap. So what we'll do is we'll run through 4 action items here for specification, including what happened on the last call. The first point is that the proposed updates to ISO 5230, ISO 18974, we're in a public comment period between June and December 2024. That public comment period closed on the 19th of December. All of the comments raised were addressed in the draft documents. There's no further comments open. We're now in a 3-month freeze period where people have a chance to look at the document and provide, if appropriate, notice of any critical errors. That's point 2. Point 3 is that the steering committee, which is our governing board plus the chair of specification, will be having a look at the frozen document. They're going to do that in about 2 weeks on the 3rd of February beside the next governing board meeting in Brussels. When they do that, they're just doing an assessment. They're not going to take any action until after the freeze period. When the 3-month freeze period ends, the specification work group can formally send the proposed updates to the ISO standards to the steering committee, at which point they would formally vote to update the standards, to update them now or later, not to update the standards, or to make additional changes. So the entire community process happens under specification work group, then it goes into a vote before the steering committee, and if they pass it, then we would go into the ISO process through Joint Development Foundation. This is a lengthy method of updating documents, but it's a purposefully cautious one, given that we're making standards. So that's points 1 to 3. Comment period that we had open is closed. We're in a freeze period. The steering committee will meet very soon and have a quick look at the document during this freeze period. Afterwards, that's when the specification work group decides whether to send the document to the steering committee for a formal vote or not. Now, the point 4 I wanted to bring up is not related to this draft set of updates to the ISO standards, but it is important and it is happening and it does impact one of the ISO standards. ISO 5230, the international standard for open source license compliance, is 5 years old this October. And that means that there's a periodic review at ISO to confirm that the standard is still useful, still current, and still being used. Separate completely to draft updates. It's a different matter. But I wanted to let you know that that's underway. October we'll be submitting formally a letter to ISO on that periodic review. And we currently expect, based on feedback from Joint Development Foundation, that that will be a super quick and easy process. But I will keep you appraised. The specification work group, of course, is the community building the standards. So I really want to make sure you know everything that's happening in the background regarding the paperwork and regarding the expectations to be set. So there we are. 1 to 3 relates to the draft updates to the ISO standards, the ideas the communities had, and how we're addressing them with the formal comment period and then freeze period and steering committee. Point 4 is about a periodic review that ISO does for past standards every 5 years, and the expectation that our version of 5230, still being useful, still being used, still being current, will have a smooth process. Does anyone have any questions about what I've just told you? If no one has questions about this, what I'll say is that we're in a very stable period regarding our standards. They're published, they're being adopted. We have some ideas for updates. It's in a freeze period. Nothing's happening right now. It's important procedure, but not actually editing them. But over in education, it's quite a different story. Education is doing a lot of crazy stuff, good stuff, important stuff. Now, we happen to have some of the key people on the line, which is very good. 3 things from education I wanted to flag. The first item, OpenChain Explainer Series. Second item, a capability model. And a third item related to training. Let's start with the Explainer Series. The Explainer Series, and I'm going to open these on the web and share it so you can see what's up. The Explainer Series is a series of documents to explain OpenChain's value proposition to, for example, C-suite executives. Each explainer runs through things like the background to the problem, the implications of, say, risk, solution offered, benefits, OpenChain specific benefits. So it's a very simple concept, and we've got C-suite, compliance, risk and legal, dev team, developers, HR, procurement, sales, marketing, and training, all covered by these. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen and Martin. I think the explainers are pretty much done, right? We're in the final kind of, scream if you see something wrong, we're going to take these wide period. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think this is probably where I kind of claim I have connection issues or something, because I wasn't really planning to speak. But yes, I think the thing here is that yeah, we're basically happy with them. But on the other hand, for example, I'm not a sales and marketing executive, so perhaps there are improvements that can be made, particularly with anybody who has dealt directly with these kinds of target people, and perhaps they can give some further advice of, oh, actually, you've missed off this particular aspect that is super important for that group of people. So yes, we're happy with them and really would look forward to any kind of feedback and improvements. And of course, on particularly, I guess, on this call for any translations that can be done into any of the other languages.
Fantastic. Thank you, Martin. And you brought us very neatly into something that is more of a beta than the explainers. So the explainers basically are ready to go, and we'll give people, a few days after this call, say a week, to yell, and then we put them out, and they're living documents. We'll get some feedback, and people might say, "Oh, I've seen this for the first time now. I didn't notice you were making it. Here's an idea." Well, fine. We can easily update them. We keep them on GitHub for that reason. So the documents are done, but there's more than the documents. There's videos of the documents, which is Martin's mischief directly. There's a whole series of explainer videos, taking the explainers and explaining them in video format. These are currently in beta. So Martin, my understanding is that the UK workgroup, yourself, have prepared these, and you're soliciting feedback actively, because it's not just about the explainers, it's about how this video looks to people, how it works for people. So this is in a beta stage. There's a little more time to gather feedback and tweak these.
Yep, definitely. I mean, certainly, again, I'd be interested to hear if people have found them useful. As you say, this is just a bit of craziness, largely from me. So any kind of feedback and suggestions for improvements, anything would be great.
And just for the sake of making it easy for people, I've posted the link to the YouTube playlist so they can jump right in and see everything. I'm sorry. I think that link might have been direct to a video, so I'll just post it again into the chat. There you go. That's the playlist. And therefore, what you can expect is point one, the explainers are pretty much done. Let's say we'll give it 1 week for people, and then we'll start promoting them outside of the project across social media, soliciting further feedback and iterate as necessary. The video explainers are ready for commentary. They've been out for a couple of weeks as beta, and they'll continue to be in beta until the next monthly call for North America and Europe. That means, say 2 to 3 weeks. A serious solicitation of feedback. Do the videos look okay to you? Are they structured right? Are there things you think should change? After that, if there's no objections and everyone's happy with this stuff, we'll start communicating it further and get the feedback on that. So that's the first point. Second point, capability model. This is where, for those of you who have been following for a while, we have maturity modeling appearing as public domain around OpenChain. Stephen, I was wondering if you could talk to this for a minute, and let us know where we're at. I mean, as far as I know, it's done, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. Yeah, thank you, Shane. As you're showing on the screen there, this is the version of the capability model, which is it on GitHub now? Or is definitely about to be on GitHub?
Yes, it's there.
And it's there, great. And the capability model, just a very quick recap. The purpose of a capability model is to help an organization assess their capabilities in a more granular way than a sort of binary compliant or non-compliant. This allows you to take a risk-based view at what you're good at and what you might need to be good at across the full requirement set of everything that's in the OpenChain specification. And the model is going to be it was sort of soft launched in OpenChain Compliance Summit in Tokyo just before Christmas, and we are taking it to FOSDEM and to FOSS Backstage, and also going to be widely circulated. We're looking for people to continue to help us develop the capability model with a view to perhaps looking at particular examples of, say, if you're looking to demonstrate or strengthen your capability or compliance in relation to a particular topic. So, for example, the management of AI or the implementation of the EU Cyber Resilience Act. We're looking to use those examples of or contexts for organizations to see what the capability model would look like if you were really progressing well in implementing capabilities to respond to those particular contexts as an organization. And the model is released under CC0 license. It's there for use, and also we're looking for contributors to help us take it and develop it further. I think the other thing that is possible with the capability model is to build a roadmap for an organization. You can take a snapshot of where you are at one particular point in time today, and lay out a path using the model as the things you need to implement over a 18-month or a 3-year period to grow and improve your capabilities. And we are looking for anybody who'd like to use their current context as a test case to demonstrate how you might use this capability model to grow and improve over time. And all of these pieces of work we're looking to do will be developed as education and communication packs for people, because we believe the capability model is very helpful to grow understanding within an organization, and to help colleagues understand what needs to be done and why, and how you will go about doing that. I think I'll leave that there, Shane. If there's
Brilliant.
anything else, of course, happy to take
No,
questions.
that's fantastic. Thank you, Stephen. And it's been very clearly communicated that this has been coming. There's been many months of the education work group rotating through this, and we brought it up at all the meetings and so on. So this capability model, even more so than the explainers, has had quite a few eyes on and time to digest. Now that it's ready, and a lot of people put a lot of time into this. For instance, Steve and Andrew from Orcro originated this model. We've seen Deloitte contributing to the development of it. We've had some, really, I think, good eyes on it. But what we need to do now is to take it out there and give it to everyone. So just like the explainers, the target is essentially to start promoting this more widely in about a week. In other words, to change the messaging from we're in the middle of writing this into we've written it, here it is. Do you have any feedback on this document as we have finished writing this document in this iteration? Do you want to help us iterate it, or do you want to use it? And, both cases useful for us. What that means, long story short, is that the explainers and the capability model are both scheduled for broader distribution, marketing, and release in about a week. Neither of these reference material items are impacting our standards, but they are filling out our reference library of material. And they're encouraging more people to come in and provide feedback. Like Martin said, they might say, your explainer for sales and marketing is good, but you're missing this entire point X. Likewise, with the capability model, we know companies are using capability modeling on our standards. We know that service providers are doing capability modeling on our standards. By bringing out a public domain capability model, well, I should say CC0 capability model, we're giving the community access to that type of thinking, that type of resource with zero cost and the ability to remix, iterate, and change it as much as they want. It's quite exciting that all of this is ready in January, though all of this has been in the pipeline for quite a while. Before I go on to the training matter, I just wanted to stop and check if there are any questions or comments. Okay, if there's no questions or comments, final thing is considering where we go with training. My suggestion is to refresh our 2 existing license compliance courses and to develop 1 or more courses for our standard for security assurance. A couple of reasons for this. Refreshing the license compliance courses will encourage more adoption because people will see the refreshed course in action, as opposed to seeing a course that's 2 or 3 years old. Important because, of course, it will help with our standard adoption, and also our standard already covers a lot of the interesting things that are incoming for the CRA. It will have a direct potential impact on helping companies get ready. That's my proposal on training. And for those of you who were on the call last time, I think we had a pretty good feedback, including from Balakrishna, previous chair of education, current chair of education. So that's sort of on the to-do list. Explainer series documents, capability model document, going out in about a week. Videos in beta form, more widely communicated in about 2 weeks. That means we're likely to have some space on our desks to start digging into training February onwards. Does anyone have any questions about that? what I'll do then is just make sure that people understand explainers capability out in about a week. Videos beta about 2 weeks, giving us time to work on training in February onwards. If there are any questions or concerns, please do raise them now, or we'll proceed on that assumption. If there are no questions or concerns, we'll move on. Okay. Other item, the North America-Europe call takes place between 1:30 and 2:30 in Japan. That's a little difficult for me to attend personally because it's one of several meetings that seem to be scheduled in the middle of my night. So I had a request to the community in general to potentially move that call, North America and Europe, to be a North America-Asia scheduled call, which would complement this meeting, Europe-Asia, or for a community volunteer to step in to chair it on a regular basis and keep it as a North America-Europe call. This is not a super critical matter. It's something I personally wanted to flag, and I put it in the deck to flag to people. I do want to solicit feedback on this, whether moving the call timing to North America, Asia would be detrimental, or whether someone feels like volunteering to be a regular chair of that call. Naturally, we have our spec chairs and our education chairs to run their sections, but for the overall, there to let people in thing, it would be fantastic to have a resource to assist with that. Not a critical item, not something to worry about, something I personally wanted to flag. And feedback welcome. Now, any other business? Is there anything you would like to raise that's related to our standards, related to what we do? Right. If there's nothing to be raised there, we'll move to the close of the meeting with a single note before we close, just that we have had a tremendous start to the year. Tons of little work group meetings and regional meetings have been taking place. The main thing for a lot of people, I think, has been trying to be as practical as possible around open source management, risk reduction, cost management has been key for obvious reasons in this economy. At the same time as supporting the right now risk reduction or cost reduction items, we're working on these long-term things, concepts like, do we update our ISO standards? Concepts like, do we refresh our training? So we're covering the bases on trying to make sure that we have short-term support for right now items while also investing in the long term of our current and potential future standards. If you are interested in what's happening beyond our standards, it's highly recommended to look at what our AI work group is doing. They're working on a guide to AI bill of material compliance in the supply chain. And it's highly recommended to check out what our SBOM study group is doing. They're looking at how the telecommunications guide to SBOM quality in the supply chain, something we released last year, can be expanded into a multi-industry, multi-SBOM format guide. For those of you who've been around for some years in OpenChain, you'll be aware that when we move from informal reference material into a formal guide, it's possible that there is a step after that where we see the market likes it, the market's using it, and the guide may become a future standard. A lot of exciting stuff happening. It is very much appreciated that you joined the call today. I want to give special thanks to Martin and Stephen for confirming and expanding on the exciting and important releases we'll have from education this month. And I look forward to working with you throughout the year. See you all next time and have a beautiful day.
Thanks, Shane. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Shane. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.